We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good.
Hello there, and welcome to La La Land Talk on LA Talk Live. I'm Dorothy Dillingham, Blue, and absent today is Brett Chapin, but we have some great guests for you to meet today, so we're very excited for you to meet them all. First, we have Matt Daigle, who's sitting across from me, his wife Kay Daigle.
Hello.
Their son Hayden. And Mark, what is your last name again? Lloyd. Mark Lloyd, who is interpreting for us today. But first, before we get to talk to them about their great, awesome comic strip that I'm so excited about, we're just going to give a little theater minute first. Opening this weekend was Spelling Bee, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee at the El Portal Theater. If you want to find out about that, you can go to elportal.com for tickets. That's directed by our friend Kristen Towers Rolls. Very exciting. I think Travis Dixon is also in that, so that's a great show over in North Hollywood. Closing this weekend is Talking With at Theater Palisades. I got a chance to see that show last week. Great performances by 11 very talented women. So don't miss out. It's tonight at 8 o'clock and tomorrow at 2. Those are your last two chances to see that show. Opening in 2 weeks is this show at Theater Palisades with their youth production. It's called The Ever After, a musical. Super fun. We're going to have some of those cast members on our show next week. And if you have any other theater news you want to send us, okay, I'll call you up. You can either call us or you can tweet us at LaLaLandTalk, or you can send us an email at lalalandtalk@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/LaLaLandTalk. So there we go. That's our intro. That's how we got.
All right.
Yeah. Very
we got
nice.
That all
We got
over.
It's all, man. Sounding good on this President's Day weekend. Jamzilla. Did y'all run into Jamzilla at all? You just went the back way?
Went the back way.
Yeah.
What's Jamzilla?
They shut down the northbound 405 this weekend at Getty Center. So,
Oh.
yes.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. So don't go that way going home.
Never go that way.
Oh, and I almost forgot. I am going to catch some of the Pasadena International Film Festival this weekend. That started on Wednesday. It ends tomorrow. You can get daily passes and more information at pasadenafilmfest.org. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be heading up there the back way. Avoid the 405.
Wow.
That's how we go there. Yes. So let's get to our guests. So I met Kay. We are both commercial actresses. And what's great about our category, I guess we would say, and that's the, I guess, the socioeconomic age that we are, an age that we are classified in, is that it's a really friendly group, all in all. I got it. I'm so glad to be past the 20s hipster girl, because I'm sorry, they're just intolerable.
Yeah.
I can't deal. It's just not fun.
I don't run with those horses. No, not at all.
Seriously, it's a whole other kind of pony show. So, and we were at the callback for the Big Lot spots that I eventually booked, which was yay. But what's so fun is you also always have a lot of downtime between going in, and so we got to talking, and I think it was afterwards I said, "Oh, you should check out my show. We're about LA artists." And she said, and you go, "Well, I'm an LA artist. I have a comic strip." And so tell us about the comic strip.
That's right. My husband and I started a comic strip, and my husband's been an artist ever since he was a little boy, and I'm a comic actress. I have been ever since I was a little girl, and we decided to join forces because I have background in ASL interpretation. He's an artist. I'm a comedian. So we said, hey, why don't we do this thing together? So I write the comic strip. It's called That Deaf Guy. And we started that. We debated whether we started it in 2008 or 2009 because we had it brewing, the idea, for quite a long time. And so we joined forces. He was drawing it before I joined on.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided that what was important is that we make the comic strip accessible to both deaf and non-deaf people. Hearing is what we call hearing people who can hear. And in order to be able to do that, there had to be both perspectives. So he draws the comic strip, and I'm the one who writes it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I can't draw a stick figure, so I am automatically in awe of anyone who can draw anything that looks slightly three-dimensional.
Right. And it's really a perfect marriage, pardon the pun, because we're actually married, because his sensibilities to the deaf community and the way that he can make that humor happen for them and the way that I can write it in order to make it accessible for people, not just for it to be funny, but also for it to be educational. But we really wanted it to be not so focused on driving home the message every time, because sometimes that can kill the humor. And we really, really just wanted it to be funny.
Yes.
Yeah, we just wanted to make
absolutely.
people laugh. That was the goal. It
Yeah.
wasn't to have this big social change, although that would be nice, but
Absolutely.
to make people laugh.
I think
definitely.
sometimes in the hearing world, people are under the impression that if you're deaf, you don't have a sense of humor. And I don't know, everyone that I've met, especially since I've worked with a lot of deaf actors, that's some funny that has not been tapped.
Oh.
And it's really a shame because you don't have a good time backstage until you're hanging out with the deaf actors. That's for sure.
Absolutely, because every kind of comedy that you can ever imagine, it being signed very graphically,
Yes.
in a
Yes.
very humorous way. So to be able to have both of the languages and be balancing between the two is really fantastic. It's fun.
So Matt, when you were writing it before having Kay's input, was there a part of it that you were like, what's that nugget that I'm missing? Or I don't know. Tell us about the transition between writing it.
Well, the two of us really worked together very well. And when we did develop this new comic strip, we were thinking of different themes, like what do we want to talk about? Like, we do want to educate the community, of course, but my perspective, the deaf view, and for Kay's view as a hearing person, not hearing person, as she said, what their view is. We want to make sure that both of them understood, and it was funny, it was humorous too at the same time. So sometimes I didn't understand exactly what I was trying to get at. I didn't have enough information to convince them to. I wanted to get to the punch line of what it was. So we would really haggle back and forth or discuss this back and forth with each other, and it works out. It actually, like she said, the marriage is perfect. Awesome. It blends very well.
Well, I think we have. Oh, my mic went out. Yep. There we go. I think we have a caller.
Awesome.
Hello, caller.
Yay, go.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. What's your
Hi,
name?
this is Adriano.
Hello.
One moment, please.
Oh, sure.
I think this call is probably being interpreted.
Oh, is this call being interpreted?
Yes, it is being interpreted.
That's awesome.
Antoinette.
Antoinette. Woo!
Thank you for calling. Do you have a question for our guest today?
Yes, I do. I was wondering if the hearing audience, when they meet deaf people, if they're a little bit shocked. But it seems that your humor has really helped relieve some of that shock and awe, so people can feel like they connect. So do you feel that way about your comic?
Well, Matt, I don't know, should I answer? Yeah, I believe so, yes. Kay will say it, though. Kay will.
I'll let Mark interpret for me because I'm going to hit the mic, but it gets a little cumbersome with the mic right here. But absolutely, Antoinette, that's exactly what's happened. We receive numerous emails weekly, daily, actually, people telling us that people who can hear, hearing people, tell us that they have a better understanding of deaf people and deaf culture, and they're not as afraid to approach a deaf person. And sometimes our comic strip gives them a level playing field to talk about deaf culture and deaf issues. And also, we even had a mother contact us one time telling us that for the first time she understands her deaf daughter through our comic strip, which makes me tear up.
Of course.
Because through the comic strip, we do talk about culture and how different it is because they support one another. Language and culture support one another. So, Matt, do you want to add to that?
No, I think you did a wonderful job. You summed it up. That's perfectly
He's
put.
deferring to me.
Yeah, you got it.
Now, do you have any other questions, Antoinette?
No. Yeah, I just hope that you guys are very successful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Antoinette.
Thank you. Thank you so
And
much.
you can catch all of their comic strips are online at thatdeafguy.com. So be sure to check those out. They are hilarious. So take the time. Thanks so much for calling, Antoinette.
Thank you so much. I will. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I love it. We had a caller.
Yay, this is so fun. And what was interesting about that is she was probably calling through a video relay system. So the voice that you heard, even though she's a woman, Antoinette, she was talking through a video relay interpreter who was a man. And so he was having to interpret for her. And he was on, the interpreter was on the radio. So that's new technology now. It used to be the old TTY system.
Sure, I remember that.
So now it's a video because just like now we're using webcams, we can do that with video relay. So that's how deaf people can talk on the phone now.
That's amazing.
Sign on the phone.
And also the texting, I think, I can't remember what I was watching, but just someone was talking about how the growth of texting as a means of communication has been a really interesting part of deaf community being able to communicate with the hearing world as well.
Yes, exactly. Most of the time, we go through, like when I go through my clients, talk to my clients, it's email. But I also communicate through the computer, texting. Sometimes my friends, my hearing friends are learning how to sign, so they're going through the technology as well to learn how to sign. So the technology has actually helped a great deal, especially, closed captioning on TV, online, the computers, of course. It's very important for us as deaf community to have that access. We want to be able to see visually at the same time what's going on the TV itself, the characters or whatever may be watching at that time. But everything is growing rapidly, of course. Accessibility for everybody, not only deaf people, but there's a lot of children, like my son, Hayden. He's watching TV with the captioning, and he's reading it all the time. So as a hearing kid, he really enjoys understanding what the vocabulary words may be. At a young age, he's actually learned his vocabulary very quickly. So captioning on TV has been a phenomenal thing, educational point of view too. And commercials actually, they need a little bit more advertisement on that, I think. YouTube, when you're online, sometimes you don't get a lot of captioning. So our comic strip, we have some things that are captioned on there. Most of them are captioned. They usually would block it on there. But in my experience, facing or coming across the community, it's actually becoming a little bit more aware. People are becoming aware of closed captioning.
Huh. Now, Hayden, as the son of parents who one is a hearing person, one is a deaf person, can you tell us a little bit about what that's like?
It's not that it's pretty much not that kind of difficult. But I think it's pretty cool that somehow my dad is actually deaf. To a sort of culture. And my mom is kind of hearing, so it's kind of like it's like one-on-one on my parents somehow. It's like one-on-one, and pretty much that I like it when I actually learn how to sign from my dad or mom, because she's an interpreter. and somehow that's and another thing is that I like spending my I like spending time with my dad. I somehow have trouble with signing somehow.
He helps
And
you.
and then yeah, right. He helps me.
Sorry.
But I don't even have to sign all the time.
Because sometimes you're with mommy.
Yeah, because I'm sometimes with you. But like when my dad is in the room or like watching me from another room, yeah, it's
You
pretty
have to
much
sign
I have to
if you have a
sign.
room.
I have to sign,
Yeah,
right? And that's
yeah.
like how my life goes. With a deaf dad, but it's pretty much a different life than all those people who have a hearing mom and dad.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. Here you go.
There you have it.
There you have it.
There's the answer.
It's a dual language household, and
Right.
those come in all kinds of ways. It could be English ASL, it could be English Spanish. There are lots of different ways that, dual anything in a household.
Right.
And I think that makes a more full experience for a child
Right.
growing up.
Right. One of the things that we had to do was establish house rules with language.
Ooh.
And one of the things we, through trial and error, we had to decide that anytime daddy's in the room, it's voices off and ASL only. There was a time where Hayden and I would talk and sign at the same time, but the sign language gets really convoluted. It becomes, it starts to break down. And so, yeah, like Hayden said, it becomes difficult. It's hard to sign and talk at the same time, and the language that suffers is ASL. So Matt would lose some of the conversation. So if daddy's in the room, if daddy's looking into the room, if anywhere's
going on,
he won't know what's going on. So even though we're talking to one another, we always try to turn off our voices, and sometimes he sneaks up on us. We're like, oh, okay.
Daddy is sneaky.
Daddy's sneaky. It's a sneaky guy.
Sneaky.
So that's worked really well in terms of language development for our son, because his English is where it's supposed to be, and his ASL should be equal to that.
Oh, I have a friend, Michael Hirschberg. He's an interpreter in Chicago, and he has twin sons. And he's hearing. His husband is hearing, and he's taught his sons both along the way.
Wonderful.
And they are almost 2, I want to say, but one of them, they has a video of his son reading the book and only doing ASL. Like he reads the book and reads it in ASL the whole time.
Fantastic.
It's really adorable. It looks like we've got another caller. Hi, caller.
I didn't realize I was actually on. Hi, Matt and Kay. This is Deborah Sale Butler.
Hello, Deborah.
I had a question for you as a family with a hearing and non-hearing parent. How do you keep the burden of all the parenting from sliding a little bit? Since it's easier for Hayden to connect to mom maybe right away than to dad. How do you keep it from swinging that way too much? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's a really good question. Matt, do you want to talk about the technology like the technology when Hayden was born, some of the things we did in terms of technology?
Well, for closed captioning, well, on the TV, to make it accessible for him. Oh, hold on one second here. Like the vibration for there's a new technology.
Monitor was a TV monitor.
Okay, yeah, the baby monitor.
The vibration on the bed when he cried, it woke you up.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah. Okay. Well, the vibration from the TV monitor, we had some equipment with Hayden as he was in the crib. So if he would wake up, that would vibrate and let me know to go and see if he's okay. If he would cry, I was able to find out if he was okay and help him out. We also have alarms that vibrate.
Yeah.
And we have a doorbell you can use for the light. Now I don't have my pager with me right now, but on the door, if somebody comes to the door, you can actually ring the doorbell. But the technology has been wonderful. So I think both of us has actually been pretty equal as parents. Hayden comes to both of us for help. But also there's a baby monitor also. I think when Hayden was a baby himself, there was a monitor I could actually see at night to see if he was sleeping, or if he was actually being fussy, or if he was crying.
I think maybe she's asking more about discipline, perhaps. Is that
Yeah, I
Deborah?
mean, how do you? As we met, we know each other because our children are very close in age, and I know that Liam is at the getting over on mom and dad stage. How do you keep Matt? How do you keep your son from getting over on dad when he can't hear in the immediate what's going on, since he's old enough and smart enough to know how to circumvent that?
Well, I'll tell you one situation. It happened at school last week. After school, Hayden was walking out, and I asked him how he was doing. He said everything was fine. He said there was another guy. Well, I'm trying to think. He was trying to. He said he didn't want to talk about it because there was another guy that was actually bothering him or something. I asked him if he was okay. I don't know if you remember that, but he was upset, and he wanted me to fight back, I guess, because there was one thing. I don't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on with the situation itself. So I said, you need to explain the situation to me and let me know what it is. Because as a parent, I'm trying to confront different things that may happen to him. I knew something was wrong. Because he said this happened to him before, because somebody was making fun of him and he just walks away. I tried to tell him, strategies to resolve the situation. But it works out. He doesn't, I'm sure you understand how to resolve a situation that you may be getting into.
Right.
Sometimes, of course, as a parent, there's nothing that we can do as a deaf parent. I don't want to go back and have a misunderstanding, so I need to get clarification of what the incident was.
And I think for me in particular, and Matt and I have had these discussions before, is that parenting happens so much on the fly, and we're having to constantly stop because our household isn't like other households. We can't yell to each other from the other room, and we have to really sit down and have a lot of meetings with all three of us, because what does tend to happen, because Hayden can hear and because I can hear, he tends to come to me and want to talk to me about things. And sometimes I will help him with that quickly if it's not something real serious. But for the most part, we try to bring Matt into it and we meet all together, because so much of it has to include the entire family, and that takes time. So I always have to tell myself, slow down, just slow down. This is lessons that we're teaching him right now, that we have to incorporate daddy. And we even actually have in our comic strip one of that speaks to that. And the little boy in the comic strip, of course, is Hayden, and he runs up to daddy, taps him on the shoulder and says, "Daddy, I have to go to the bathroom," and then runs into the bathroom. And then Matt's character turns to my character and says, "Why did he tell me that?" And I said,
"Why does he always tell me everything?"
And I said, "Because you should be included on those announcements. Because I hear them, you don't. So you need to be included."
He's got to be included because he's in some sort of
He's deaf. He's deaf.
He's like in a deaf world or anything.
Right.
But it's definitely it's the same as our world, but I just meaning he doesn't actually hear the loudest sound
at all.
He's
profoundly deaf.
But actually, being deaf, vibrations can get him attention. So when I'm like,
do you stomp your feet?
Well, yeah, that's when I somehow be far away. Exactly. When I'm like far away, when when my dad is on the computer trying to work on some sort of comic strip, I'm at the couch and I have to stomp him to get my attention. But
yeah, don't throw anything. That's rude. Don't throw. That's in our comic strip too. Don't throw.
And also when I'm actually near, I just give him a light tap.
Mm-hmm.
And that is basically and for another example is that when I like crank the radio like up high, he can like feel it all the way over from the couch or like um from the couch of the computer and it comes over to say turn that down a little bit and I can follow them.
Because if Daddy can feel it all the way into the living room,
He
that
knows
stereo's too loud.
He knows something is going on. Something's going on in the like if they're for his alarm alarm that is under your bed.
Yes.
And it vibrates.
It vibrates when there's a crackling of fire or anything. Or sort of like something loud going on, it can actually vibrate and wake up Daddy somehow.
That's great.
But
really
and I think
of like some sort of if he's hearing, then he doesn't have to have the alarm, doesn't he?
Well, he has to have a sound alarm.
right.
Speaking of vibrations, I just had one more question. I know that piano is very important to Hayden right now. Is there a way for Matt to experience his playing? I mean, I could imagine if he's in the room, but what do you do at concerts?
Sit closer.
Recitals, rather.
Well, that's a lot of people. They always ask me that. How do deaf people, hear the music or feel it? I enjoy music myself. I grew up with family who were musicians themselves, and I got used to that area. So when I see Hayden playing the piano, it's more than just sound for me. It's his posture that I look at, his body posture, and how he plays, and the confidence that he has. And there's many more things to music than sound, because I can see that he's becoming successful. At the recital, he just had a recital recently. He did a fantastic job. So I went there. I enjoyed myself just watching my son. And all the kids that did the recital, I enjoyed myself just by the way they sit and they play.
Oh my God. Well, thanks so much for calling, Deborah.
Thanks, Deborah.
Well, thank you,
Deborah.
and have a nice afternoon.
Yeah, you do the same. Well, should we take a short break, Van Eric? And we will be right back with Matt Kay and Hayden Daigle from thatdeafguy.com. Check them out. And this is Dorothy Dillingham Blue from La La Land Talk. Back in a moment. We're so live.
Still don't know what I was waiting for, and my time was running wild, a million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me, but I've never caught a glimpse how the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. It's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. Change the sides, but never leave the stream of warm permanent sand. So the days float through my eyes, but still the days seem the same. And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through. Changes.
Hi there, this is Dorothy Dillingham Blue. We're back on La La Land Talk on LA Talk Live. We have the artists of thatdeafguy.com, a comic strip about the deaf experience, and a family that features not only a a parent who's deaf, but also a mother and child who are hearing. And we have Matt Kay and Hayden Daigle here, as well as Mark Lloyd, who is our interpreter. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. We're happy to be here.
Yes.
This is fun.
Yeah, isn't it fun?
It's so much fun.
Awesome.
No.
First time I've ever had this. This is great.
Oh yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk to you specifically about the arts and deaf community, because you're really, I think, contributing a piece that I don't think has been part of that before. I mean, I'm especially in Los Angeles, we're aware of Deaf West, and on ABC Family they have Switched at Birth, and that sort of discussion about the deaf community. But a comic strip is something so unique. Right. Where, what's the response been?
Well, it's been fantastic, just because now with the invention of the internet and Facebook, really our fan base has been fed by Facebook. We have over 30,000. For our niche market, that's pretty good for comic strip. And it's because there has never been a venue up until this point to where comics, cartoonists, artists could have their material seen not only nationwide but internationally. So we have fans from all over the world. I can't remember how many countries we represent now. I want to say like
the world,
the world. We're world domination with the cartoons. Ooh. So now with Facebook, what's really great is that the cartoons are there, and there's a forum for deaf individuals from all around the world to talk about some of the issues that particular panel or that particular comic brought to light. Whether it just be funny, like, LOL or whatever, LOL. Or hey, this happened to me and this is what happened, and then we let them just kind of talk it out. It's great.
Now, what do you think this might maybe morph into? Because there are animated shorts. Is this something that you would be looking at in the future? Bringing it to something live in it, but not live animation. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I'll let Matt answer that.
Yeah. You're the artist.
Yeah. Well, to get down to it, yes. One of the reasons why actually we're here, we moved to LA. Is because it's just a wonderful community. The art programs, the friends that we have, the creativity, the dreams. There's a lot of dreamers here, and they just want to develop that skill. And we've met a lot of web comic art cartoonists here. Actually, I've met a lot of them here, and very inspirational to me. Same with Kay. A lot of comic actors that she's met, and that's actually been very inspirational to her. This comic strip, hopefully in the future, I would like that to be transitioned to TV, like a sitcom possibly, or maybe like a short live performance, having live actors in that venue.
It's kind of like Schoolhouse Rock Live, but the deaf version.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, of course. Really, generally, we're open to whatever it may be. It's for kids to adults. It's. Anything you want to add, Kay?
Sure. I think that deaf guy could morph into just about anything, because we are in the land of technology and dreams, and I think that to think of an animated show, how wonderful would that be to see sign language, and especially have like a breakout character. We've noticed, even though it's called That Deaf Guy, the little boy of the comic strip is the precocious one that gets a lot of laughs, because he is balancing two worlds and growing up in both of them. And what's great about it is that he's called a CODA, which is an acronym for Child of a Deaf Adult. And it doesn't have to be both parents, one. So there's CODA camps. There's a whole CODA culture. So we're impacting not only deaf people, but any hearing person who has a deaf person, hard of hearing person in their life, but also the whole CODA population. So, and also sign language interpreters, because because my character is an interpreter.
Sure.
So it's kind of made its little niche market, and it's been a lot of fun.
Because I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And I also learn how to sign.
That's right. Yes. When I was in middle school, my middle school and high school were centers in our district for the deaf students. And so one of the teachers, her father was deaf, and she was a teacher and interpreter, and her young daughter played Toto when I did Wizard of Oz.
Fantastic.
And so she was a coda, well, I guess grand coda, I guess,
Right.
And we would be in rehearsal, and if she was bored or hungry, she was little, she was like 5 or 6, she would take her paws off and sign to her mom, like, Mom, I'm hungry. Is it time for dinner yet? Because no one, they didn't know what she was doing. But I knew what she was doing.
She wants time to go fast.
So that she was a coda. There you go.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Child of a deaf adult.
There you go. All right, we have another caller. This is so exciting. I love callers. Hello, caller. Thank you for calling. What's your name?
Jim Daigle.
Hi, Jim.
Jim Daigle.
Yeah, Matthew's uncle.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Great. This is great.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, I have a few comments, if I may.
Yes, please.
Well, so first, a little bit of hearing humor. Matthew, where are your headphones?
No,
he needs a mic
somewhere. With Matthew, he mentioned music, being in a music family, included not just his mother and myself, but his grandfather, who was a professional musician. And I was wondering if Matthew remembered, I'm sure he's probably scarred by it, as a child playing in band in school, playing the clarinet, because that's what Papa played.
Yes, the clarinet.
Yes.
You played the clarinet?
I did, yes. I did play the clarinet, yes.
The clarinet.
Of course, I do remember that. That was one of my favorite memories back in that time. Very nostalgic.
Nostalgic. Great
It was a
word.
beautiful thing, but it sounded horrendous. I don't know. But it was so beautiful.
Well, that's because it was
All
the very
fourth
beginning,
graders
the start.
sound
At start,
horrendous,
yes,
by the
but
way.
I did practice, and it was all. I did get better at it, and I did recognize the sounds from the feel of it when I would actually do the clarinet. Knowing when I did make a mistake, I know that it was different when I actually would feel the vibration coming through. So I did learn as I practiced. I did get a little bit better at it. As it's a tool that I learned. But like a guitar, if I was playing the guitar, I did try that one time, but I couldn't recognize if I was making a mistake at that time. And they'd say, I would ask the teacher, did I make a mistake? And they're like, yeah. And I couldn't know the difference. But as a clarinet, I could feel the vibrations through the air of that coming through. Mm-hmm. So my grandfather, I got an influence from him. So he said, why don't you try this? So, because I can recognize different sounds. And he was right. I was blowing something wrong through the clarinet. It would like make that sound go completely off key. But as a musical instrument, deaf people, they can recognize different vibrations. There's several friends of mine that play clarinet as well, so I did have a good experience with it, though.
Oh my God! Thank you so much for calling in.
Yes, and if I may,
yes,
you've got a wonderful trifecta of LA.
Talk live.
Talents there. Not only Kay as an actor and Matt as an artist and designer. Hayden, who we just visited a few weeks ago,
yes,
is a budding percussionist and a writer in his own right. Not to mention his contributions to the comic strip. And it was a joy to spend some time with him recently.
You're darn right.
It was fun. It was great. We showed them LA. We showed them all the wonderful parts of LA, and you could never even scratch the surface with 4 or 5 days. But
did you do the Sunset Boulevard Drive?
Yes, we did.
From end to end?
Not from end to end. That's hardcore.
That's a hardcore one. Or the Mulholland one. That's a fun one.
We got lost. We were trying to find the Hollywood sign. We were all over the place.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, we were at the what's it called again? Wonderview Street.
Yes.
We were like stuck on this big mountain, and then
up Beechwood.
But it wasn't
We found
actually the But we found a hill that was actually near the Hollywood sign.
There you go.
Right.
That was actually and another one was this this little pond thing.
The reservoir.
The
Hollywood
reservoir.
Reservoir.
The reservoir. The Hollywood Reservoir. And the Hollywood sign. That's like almost our like our nearest destination
To see the Hollywood sign.
to see the Hollywood sign. You're right.
Now, tell me about the show that you two did when you met. What was that show?
We met in a deaf hearing theater company that was under a program at the National Technical Institute for the Deaf.
Okay.
And I barely knew any sign language. And this was in 1994. I actually was in the company the year before him, and I performed for his freshman orientation. Okay. And I barely knew any sign language, but I learned really fast because it was, like I said, 3 deaf performers, 3 hearing performers, and we traveled all over the nation. And it was a vehicle that basically helped people see that deaf and hearing people could work together collaboratively. And then the second year that I was in the company, Matt came on board, and we were actually workshop partners, and we did sketch, variety, and comedy. So we would write the shows and we would perform the shows, and then we would travel all over the nation, load and unload ourselves. It was intense. We would be on the road 6-7 weeks at a time. We became family.
Wow.
Yes.
A tale between 2 worlds.
That's right.
Well, that was in. You got to tell them it was also in Rochester, New York, is where it's at.
Oh, based
That's where it's based in. Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to let you know that's where it's based at, the program. It was a wonderful program. Yeah, and now it's really sad that program is actually not there anymore. It's shut down. So hopefully it will. But it did influence and inspire people. The 2 of us, our mission so far was to make sure that we had the theater company we actually would influence and educate the hearing community. And we're doing the same thing. That's pretty much what our goal has been as from start to finish. We haven't finished yet, but it's actually from start. We've actually been trying to educate the community and the exposure for people if they don't know, unbeknownst to them, they don't know what the deaf culture is and hearing culture. But the comic strip has actually really helped us, and it's helped me to remember some of the things that I've done back in the past too. Yeah, so any bad news or good news or whatever I may have, I put that in my comic strip.
Which is the
And is it in book form now? I see you have you
Yes.
brought a book with you. Aha.
Really, this book was designed and by Matt completely. And what was incredible about this book is that it was all of our Facebook fans kept asking for it. So we said, okay, we
you know all
will
the answers.
publish a book. And we have sold it and marketed it completely through Facebook.
Wow.
And our website. Our website gets a lot of hits, but our Facebook fans is where
Because
we...
the store is there.
Yeah. We do have a store, and so we've been selling those books for about a year now, and it's gone really well. It's been doing really well.
We also had this stuff that like remember that the time that we got into this remember the museum the museum, and then we went to this kind of lobby, the empty lobby.
The empty lobby.
Like where we all like stepped.
Oh, you mean when we go to festivals and sell the books and
Yes,
things
yes,
like
yes,
that?
yes.
Oh, we are
Not-
selling
not-
books like at the LA
but-
Deaf
but
festivals
that-
and things like that.
But not
so
not the day that I met Noelle.
okay.
Okay.
The day inside that thing. Remember?
That was the Deaf Meta Expo.
Yes.
So we go to a lot of
Yes.
expos and things like that. And we take Hayden along, and the community are very excited to see the family, to meet
Sure.
all of us and say, yes, that's the little boy character. I'm the mom, I'm the wife character, and that's that deaf guy.
Of course, that's like real life.
Matt, did you want to sign something?
He was also mentioning LA, the LA Festival, which is in downtown LA. That's where we actually the deaf function. We had that every year, and so we have a booth there, and that's a wonderful experience for us. We had a really good time there because we showed we had posters there and advertisement there. That was the very first time we've ever actually had it here in LA. So there was a lot of people that were very excited. They were like, wow, you guys are actually from LA. We thought you were from some other place, another state, but they were very, very excited to see us. And they're like, okay, well, I want to take a picture with you. And they want to buy a book. So that was an amazing time for us. It was a wonderful, they were really thrilled to see the characters and the people there, as Kay mentioned too. And me as a cartoonist, I'm like kind of an introvert myself, I stay at home, I post everything on the internet. I'm not really out socializing much, but to get out at that time, to see all these people react, the reaction was a wonderful feeling to me. It was just fantastic for me. So
I think what's interesting is I have another friend who is a cartoonist, and he is also married to a performer, like an actress. And I think sometimes you have to have that balance of someone who is going to for my husband is very calm as well. So we need that person to calm us down, the crazy actor people.
Yes.
And you need someone to pull you out and take you out to the conventions.
Right. Because it is very isolating for him because he does, it's all about getting the art on the page. And so it can be very lonely. And we've always worked very well together. So it is a perfect relationship between the two of us. When I come up with an idea that I think is just absolutely hilarious, and he goes, yeah, that might be funny in your culture, but in my culture, I don't think they're going to get it. And at the same time, when he comes up with a joke, I say, well, but if we're going to write that in English, comedy happens in threes, and, it has to have a tempo to it. It has to have a punchline and maybe a tag after it. So it works really well that we're able to both work together and make a joke. It's all about the punchline and getting some humor there.
Well, as I mentioned, I've been in a production of Children of a Lesser God in college, and I was unaware that I thought my character was just offensive. It was just a blanketly offensive character until people from the deaf community came to see the show, and I realized that's when I found out I was the comic relief. And that was such a blessing because I was like, I've got to be this terrible person, but at least she's funny, at least she's funny to somebody.
Right.
And because all of the hearing audience members were very silent. And I think that had a lot to do with the fact they saw themselves in her behavior, that she was not trying hard enough and really just overdoing it. That's her first conversation. She over enunciates everything, which I'm sure you've seen 1,000 times. And I even find myself doing it now, but I'm aware now.
Right. And it really is I know for Matt and I and for Hayden, when we go out into the public, in fact, when we were just at In-N-Out Burger, we were like, at the zoo because the line was wrapping around and everybody was staring at our table because we were signing. And so we were kind of laughing at how this is so funny because they're just
awkward.
It's very awkward. And Hayden's really used to it. Sometimes people turning around in their seats and looking at us. And that's one of the reasons why we do the comic strip, is not to say don't do that, but just isn't this a funny thing that happens. I mean, that's one of the things we really wanted to avoid, being preachy or embarrassing or insulting anybody.
Right. Oh, we have another caller. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. What's your name, caller?
Brent.
Brent?
Yes.
Oh, hey, Brent. What's
Brent.
going on?
I wanted to find out, you guys just mentioned something about his book. I wondered if he has plans to have a second book coming out, or did I already miss that conversation?
No, yeah, we're planning on having a second book coming out here later on, probably in the fall. And we're
great.
trying to
And
actually
get
all the
Facebook
comic strips
or the
together, and
website?
it's been about a year and a half we've been actually putting things together. Book one is actually from 2 years ago, so we're trying to get everything together. So looking forward to the fall. I'm going to be sending that out. We're going to get that out there.
You'll have to come back and show it to us when it's published. Back on our show for the second book.
That'd be great.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
That'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Very good. I can't wait.
It's
Thanks
on
so much. Keep
Facebook.
up the good work.
It's going to be on Facebook.com/thatdeafguy comic, and it's also on our website. You can go to the store there, which is www.thatdeafguy.com.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Brent.
Brent?
It's funny how we came up with the name That Deaf Guy because, and Matt can probably tell this story better, but he's always referred to that deaf guy.
always, like,
it's like,
deaf.
that deaf guy. When he was
deaf, of course.
when he was in college, they did an article about him, and they called him Deaf Guy on Campus.
Instead of Big Guy on Campus.
Right, or the
Big Man on
movie that
Campus.
had come out, I think was Dead Man on Campus or something. So they did a play on that, Deaf Man on Campus.
Yeah, and the article, when you look at it, there's another article. There was a movie, the movie review. So that Dead Man on Campus, the movie review was right next to each other where they wrote my article. So I thought it was kind of funny. I could see both of them at the same time. So that's what we came up with that name. But that really came to the point, though. That deaf guy said that's a perfect introduction for the strip, the comic strip. It explains that, hey, this character is deaf, he can't hear, so forth. Instead of trying to explain that, immediately people would know, hey, okay, that's a deaf guy. All right, well, there he is. There he is. We'll just go with it. So we went on with that name. It was just a wonderful idea, so we came up with it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with the comic strip because in the beginning, we're trying to find our voice or our rhythm. And it's with any kind of art. That's the dangers of sign language right there. Flying hands. If you knock over a glass of water while you're signing, you are, initiated into the sign language club.
Distracting.
Yes. And
Yeah, we might want to move that. Yeah, move that away.
that's fine. It's got a lid on it.
Good.
But we were trying to find our voice and how we would tackle some of the not so funny issues that are out there. And we realized that our comic strip is really about comedy.
Yes.
And even though we do touch on education, there are a lot of things that we would love to talk about. Like there's there's a lot of discrimination out there still. Places that won't provide interpreters for deaf people, like doctors' offices. And I get my blood boiling and I go, we need to do this. And then I always think, but if I approach it from a place of being upset or being angry about something, the comedy, anger kills comedy. So we have to let somebody else do those topics and stick with the stuff that we know will still get a chuckle out of people. But primarily, our comic strip is for the deaf community. And we definitely want to involve the hearing community as well. But our goal is to make deaf people laugh.
Right.
So.
Well, that is a rule with comedy. Know your audience.
Right, exactly.
Know your audience.
That's a huge rule, and I think knowing that helps inform and make it
make it what
fun
it
for
is.
all.
Make it fun for all.
Fun for all.
Right. And also one of our customers, actually, who bought a book, she is deaf, and she's very thrilled about this book. And she said this is the best book to actually show her family because it's been, she's been very supportive. They've been very supportive, excuse me. And her trying to get equal access to deaf interpreters and so forth, or interpreters. So she bought all of her family members for Christmas a book, so hopefully they would know and understand what her perspective is, what she's coming from. Being deaf and what they need as equal access and so forth. My goal is I can do this, I can do that. Instead of having a pessimistic view of things, the family sometimes would just not know exactly what was going on with her. So there's a lot of stories in regards to that. So we're very excited about this, where this has actually brought us and where we're going to, and it's become very peaceful amongst some families that have had animosity and so forth, and family who've never communicated with each other for years and years and years, and they realize finally, wow, American Sign Language American Sign Language ASL is very important to communicate, and so writing back and forth, is there anything else, any comments you want to add, Kate, to that?
Well, it's just For example, we had a comic strip one time that talked about the woes of deaf people going home for Thanksgiving dinner because many of the family members don't know sign language. So it was a joke on, here are some of those boredom busters that you can have. You can, you can count you can use your potatoes to make a sculpture. You can sit at the kids' table because kids tend to want to play more than talk.
That's true.
So it really hit home, and a lot of people were reposting to their family and going, check this out. And not to really place blame and not to make it negative in any way, but just to say, hey, this is what it's like for me to sit down at a table where everybody's talking and I'm not really included. And so that's a lot of the comments that we get about the book is that it's a funny way of instructing.
I love it. Well, everyone, please make sure to check out thatdeafguy.com. Also, facebook.com/thatdeafguy. Is that how it's usually?
I think it is.
I
think it is.
Also add comic on there too at the end of that.
That Deaf Guy comic.
That Deaf Guy comic.
Yeah,
Comic.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And check that out. And they have. Oh, there goes my mic. They have their book on sale as well as these very fun T-shirts. Like Hayden is wearing one of my favorites. It says ASL always on. There you
ASL
go.
English switch.
And then Matt, show us your T-shirt there. Very nice. I love it.
Yeah, that's my deaf guy. That's my deaf guy shirt.
Very
that you
cool.
can get on. Now the ASL shirt switch, that's on www.handsay.com. And we sell different kinds of colors, and it's a wonderful place to go to. Yeah. So if you need some of our T-shirts, I have a partner, a good friend of mine, that we actually run the T-shirt company, and that will show different cultural views of deafness and so forth. It's comedy too, but I'm going to be working on that deaf guy T-shirts, and that shirt will be on Hansay as well if you'd like to get one of those. So. There's a few months. That'll be out in a few months.
Great.
That's our plan for this year.
I love it. Thank you,
Dorothy,
so
for
much.
having us. It's been so much fun.
Thank you.
Yay! Oh, thank you. Well, that was going to wrap it up for today's episode. Next week, we have from Penguin Random House Audio, Dan Musselman. He is the founder of Books on Tape. He is the big guy on campus for anything audiobook, and he's bringing along Cassandra Campbell, who is a narrator like myself, as well as we'll have cast members from The Ever After, a musical, to have some performances. But that's going to do it for today. Again, my name is Dorothy Dillingham Blue. Thanks for tuning in to La La Land Talk on LA Talk Live, and we'll see you at the top.
Don't